Well, I actually have been able to get my sausages up in there, and I've got the 17 mil on the top of the starter. So I should have gone with my 3/8 electric, but since I'm getting some travel out of this, and I'm scared that if I break the connection from the socket and the extension back off, I won't be able to get it back on. I'm just gonna keep going a couple clicks at a time until I get that nut off of there. That took some doing. I'm gonna see if I can get you a picture up in there with my phone, but I'm not confident. Oh, actually. Oh, great. Vertical video. You get the... How's about that, huh? Not bad. All right. I got the Leone UK trigger wire off. Now I'm gonna pull this very carefully off the starter here and wrap it in a glove. You really should disconnect the battery. I just, even though it's right here, unfortunately I really can't get at it easily, otherwise I would. But yeah, this is unfused and it's 12 volts all the time, so very, very bad if that welds itself onto something. Well, I decided to have at it, and I was actually able to pull off the battery terminal. Don't worry, I'm doing it the right way. Main reason though is because all of my tools down here are full metal, and there's no way in hell I could have gotten that out without arcing and sparking. So let's pull off the main lead now that it's no concern and see if we can get that starter weaseled out of there. Well, there you have it. That's what the orifice looks like with no starter in it. So yeah, now the next step is to get this solenoid off, and I'm actually gonna bring this down to my vise so I can give it the best possible chance of getting those out and hit them with some PB first. But yeah, let's see if we can't change out that solenoid. Well, there's the old starter solenoid. I will be taking this apart.
But I have had that car on the track. It did get up to speed and all that shit, so I have changed the
Trigger post on this thing is rinky dinky, so I gotta get a piece of lead wire. Because I don't want to one hand a 4 kilowatt starter. Of course! Why wouldn't it work now? Good. Thank you. All right, so we had the help of Tom there. It took a while to test this because it turns out this is a ground triggered solenoid, not a positive triggered solenoid, which is just wild. So anyway, it's working. You just saw the bench test. I'm gonna pull each screw out one by one now and apply some thread lock. They are not in the best condition, but I'm of the opinion this is coming out if it fails, and I'll just be able to cut those off and replace them, so I don't really care. We'll do that. We'll wheel it back down. And then I still don't like the fact that that sparks a little bit when I connect it. And it was getting warm the first time, but maybe there's something I just don't know about, where there's a passive leakage current or something through the trigger wire. Who knows? Sorry, I know there wasn't a ton of filming in the return installation portion, but there it is. I'm gonna hook up the battery real quick. Put the last 2 nuts on the front of the bell housing. And the main thing I'm going to be looking for while I'm down here is I'm going to be checking the temperature of the solenoid. Because when we bench tested it, it got warm. But I do think some of that is just because there's a passive draw that should be coming through the trigger. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'll check on that. We'll wait maybe 20 minutes just to make sure that's cool to the touch. And then at that point, we can try fire in it, potentially. But I think I have to do an oil change first, unfortunately. I do not understand, but the solenoid is warm. Like, pretty warm to the touch. So, God, fucking phones, man. I don't know what's going on there. I have disconnected the battery. I'm gonna do some Googling, but that's a pretty significant current draw there. I don't know what the hell's going on. Huh. All right, so here's the original. It's a Bosch 0331 303 138 638. I don't know. I mean, even this one got warm when we bench tested it, so I need to figure out what's going on there. I was just about to upload part 2 this week, and I realized I didn't actually leave it with a conclusion. The swap of the solenoid went okay. The starter, obviously, as you saw, bench tested just fine. However, after I installed it in the car, I noticed that the solenoid was hot. And I mean hot to the touch. So I disconnected and left the battery disconnected, but I have to pull this back out. I ordered another solenoid. The only thing I could come up with is I had a DOA solenoid. So anyway, I'm gonna swap it again. If that doesn't work, I will have no choice but to buy a new starter for it. But let's at least rip it back out. I should be much better at it the second time around. The battery's still disconnected, luckily, but second time's a charm. Only took me 15 minutes. So to get it out, I recommend either a flexi head ratchet or an extendy. And you will need this combination of extensions, so a 3-inch and a 6-inch, and then a thin wall 17. You will be able to get at everything with that on the top one. At the bottom, I recommend an open face 17. And the first step should be loosening up the nut on the bottom one as far as you can until it bottoms out on the front of the starter right here. Once you've done that, then take the top all the way off, then come back, and just before the starter drops out, take the nut and washer off. So there is just enough room with the oil control hose for the dry sump removed to get it out. Let's go to the other unit. I'm gonna hook this solenoid back up to power just so you can see what I'm working with. And if I have a thermometer, we'll test the temperature too, and we'll throw the new one on and just make sure it doesn't do the same thing. Either way, a working starter is going back in this car. I just don't know if it'll be this one or a new one. I don't have a thermal gun or my FLIR here, so I will test that later, unfortunately. I did Loctite these bolts in here, so I will have to heat this up a little bit with a torch just to soften the Loctite. And then I got some new impact bits for my manual impact here, so I should be able to loosen those up. But they're not in great shape, so I definitely want the best chance of success there. If you guys have never used a manual impact before, go buy one. These things are amazing. So how they work is you push down and you actually twist very slightly to preload an impact spring. Then you hit the top with a hammer. But these were nasty and they had thread lock. Came out like a dream. Annoying. Glad these survived because I have to reuse them. The new Bosch solenoid bolts I bought are the wrong length. Gosh dang it. I straight up can't find booster cables here, so I have the new solenoid on. I saved the old one, don't worry, I'm going to be doing that same test. But I just have power hooked up to it, and already the other one would have been pretty hot. And this is still more or less room temperature, so I'm going to give this 10-15 minutes and we'll check back. So far so good. I did see a little bit of a spark when I connected this, but I think there may be a capacitor or some sort of resistor in here that has to... I don't know exactly, but I believe there are more components inside of these than just a coil. Not even the matter of a minute. She's already pretty warm. I do not understand. All I have is the body of the starter grounded, and I have the battery input with power on it. This should not be hot. And yeah, you can see it's drawing current. But why?